Look, I'm not a genius for pointing out that DMC5 is an amazing game. What I am saying is I wish every game could be this fucking cool. If you've never played it, Devil May Cry 5 conveys all of its important information on the character that you're playing as. This isn't new, but Capcom is the first I've seen become obsessed with this idea. Let's glance over Nero for a second. One of his main mechanics is that he can rev up his sword like a motorcycle. I'm starting to realize the devs really like motorcycles. There's 3 different stages of charge. Each of these stages allow him to perform more powerful versions of his entire moveset. Normally you track this on his health bar, but the great thing about DMC5 is this is also reflected on his sword. The Red Queen has 3 thrusters that spit fumes, with a base that grows gradually hotter and hotter as it goes. And then it goes beyond that, believe it or not. You also get a dynamic revving sound as Nero folds his arm back to twist the handle. You can make out this animation no matter which direction Nero is facing, by the way. If you look back at Capcom's history, they are a masterclass of quality animation and posing. Capcom pioneered all of this design with their fighting games, which makes sense why a fighting game developer like Hideaki Itsuno would introduce this into his other projects. You get the picture, but let me gush about this just a little bit more. It's not just the Red Queen that has all of this extra detail, it's everything. Nero's revolver, the Blue Rose, also has 3 charge levels, and you can tell by the blue aura that surrounds his arm. I really appreciate the devs making this a different color, by the way, because in DMC4, the charge shot used to be red. The Blue Rose has a red effect. Like, come on, guys, what the fuck? There's also a separate charge mechanic that is conveyed in the reloading animation. So there's layers to the Blue Rose. Each arm you select looks drastically different from the others, and you know which one you have because they literally replace his arm. And then there's the winking arm. We don't talk about that one. Everything is conveyed in a physical form in one way or another, and in the case of V, he literally wears his mechanics on his body. Both Shadow and Griffin are tattoos on V's arms and torso, and they leave his body and materialize right in front of him. But then we summon Nightmare, and we find out that V was hiding a 3rd monster in his hair. I still remember the reveal of V having white hair, just like Dante and Nero in this cutscene. I mean, it fucking shook me to my core, dude. Not only does this tell us that V is part of the Sparta bloodline, which that gets explained in the climax of the game, it serves an important gameplay function too. The camera has to pan out to fit Nightmare plus Shadow plus Griffin plus V on the screen. So V's hair now the exact opposite color of everything else. That means the player can see him clearly from farther away. Basically, you can see him with all this shit happening. You don't realize how genius V's design is until you sit down and mull over every single part of it. I actually have an entirely separate older video that just talks about V because of this. It's one of my favorites if you want to check it out, but let me gather you back here. Let's look at Dante for a second. Dante's entire shtick is that he's the wacky woohoo pizza man, and he switches all of his guns, swords, and even his fighting style on the fly. You know what sword is equipped because he's always holding it until you switch. You know what fighting style he's switching to because Dante strikes a pose and shouts it out like a Pokemon. Even if you cancel the animation, you'll know because he flashes and then makes a shorter version of that same call out. Fuck. This also applies to Virgil too. Virgil has a mechanic named Focus, where you're rewarded for precision and creating a strategy before every fight. He has this elaborate health bar to tell you how much focus he has, but you don't need it. Virgil has a blue aura that communicates that you've leveled up, and when you hit max level, he has these blue after images that follow him during his attacks. Even universal mechanics like lock-on, dude. If this reticle just up and disappeared, you'd still be just fine because you always head track to your target. Now guys, I don't want to make this political. I know we just had the elections, but I could see the slightest amount of lady naked. The developers made sure not to cover Lady's naked body with any HUD, which honestly is a long-needed gameplay feature for the DMC series. Jokes aside, they use this philosophy for every little morsel of this game, which means you can comfortably play DMC5 with 0 HUD whatsoever. And that's the funniest part. DMC5 doesn't have an option to turn the HUD off, at least not outside of mods or photo mode. mode. That is some serious dedication on Capcom's part. So why did they go through the effort? Well, it's because of one benefit. It keeps you looking at the center of the screen. You can better concentrate on your surroundings in the game because you don't have to shift your eyes to the corner of the screen. And in a combat-heavy game like DMC5, reaction time is key. So all of this extra design means you'll be caught off guard less often. Something that I visibly struggled with when I started streaming DMC3 and 4. I got kind of pissed at those games. Interesting tidbit for you guys, they might have changed the HUD because of all these visual elements. There's concept art that implies that each character was going to have a drastically different HUD setup. Dante's got a fucking guitar, goddammit. In your usual game, this would have worked really well, but in DMC5, it might have been too distracting. Okay, so I see some of you about to type this in the comments. This system is not perfect. There's actually a few gaps where Capcom could have gone a little bit further. You can't see any of Dante's guns on his player model except for Faust, which is a goofy hat. Yeah, Fedora uses a gun. Another minor gripe is that V's tattoos never disappear when you summon the familiars. They just barely fade. The difference is so small that some of you watched that part of the video and probably thought I was schizophrenic. There's any number of little critiques you could give it, but it's really not worth dragging out this video. All that said, Capcom really gives a shit about little things like this, which is one of the big reasons why they're my most favorite game developers out there. Well, I mean, besides this. Speaking of developers, there are several out there that have started taking notes. And even crazier, all of the examples I'm going to list don't come from Japan. They come from the West. One of my most favorite horror games of all time is Dead Space. Isaac's health, ammo, and stasis is conveyed on his mining suit and his guns. And if you really want to, you can navigate the Ishimura just fine without using a map. Thanks to the insane level of detail in this game. You can interact with any menu as much or as little as you want, thanks to the game incorporating hot buttons for healing, recharging, and reloading. All of this happens without ever opening your inventory. Here's a funnier example for you guys. I never thought this day would come, but I'm gonna give credit to Ark of all games. Ark Survival Ascended is the Unreal Engine 5 remaster of Ark Survival Evolved. No, I'm not joking. Yes, it's in early access again. Yes, it's $40, and yes, there's already paid DLC. All that aside, in my favorite little cash grab, the durability of your weapons and your armor is conveyed with crackling, grime, and even torn pieces of material. You can see your dinosaur's health at a glance by how bruised and bloody they are, and this applies to all the human characters too. You can also tell how much health a node has by how badly cracked it is. It is just so satisfying to see the rock slowly breaking apart as I break it with my pickaxe. Keep in mind, this is a game that's usually played in first person, so it's actually harder for them to implement this kind of design. There's barely any player model to work with. Now, that doesn't mean you can play all of Ark without HUD. Unlike DMC, you can hide the HUD, which is just so ironic. However, it has the same benefit that DMC5 reaps. More crucial information is dished out to the player more efficiently. Now, there's a reason why I only mentioned Western developers so far, and that's because Japan is taking a completely different approach. Capcom is trying to shake up this whole concept again. One thing I've noticed is that Monster Hunter Wilds will communicate multiple sources of information with one UI element. And the best example has got to be the new health bar. Not only do you get a green bar to tell you how much health you have, there's this dynamic heartbeat animation that ramps up as the monster is about to attack. It makes so much sense to have all of these health-oriented mechanics conveyed in one small segment of the screen, instead of spreading everywhere in every fucking corner. Let's segue to Death Stranding though. If we look in this game, all of the UI is dynamic and modular. It's a system of windows popping in and out only when they're needed. All of this information directly surrounds Sam Bridges on the middle of the screen, but it's in a way that would be believable in the Death Stranding universe. You can't have him flash and dab and say Royal Guard every 5 seconds. It wouldn't make any sense in this game, but I would love to see a mod of that. To get us back on track though, I'm super interested to see which route Capcom takes in the future. They're now pioneering 2 different philosophies. I'm curious which one will reign supreme. They have games like Street Fighter 6 and Dragon's Dogma that follow the DMC5 principle, and a whole slew of Monster Hunter games that have been slowly building up this multi-purpose HUD for years now. Will they revert back to the DMC5 style? Will the Swiss Army HUD reign supreme? Or will they say fuck it and just go back to the static HUD? Because they've been doing doing that a lot with Resident Evil lately. I'm curious what you all in the comments and my stream chat have to say. Let her rip. Which one do you like the best? By the way, if you've never seen one of my videos before, I'm Rainin Noodles, the nastiest, craziest, weirdest Capcom fiend on the fucking planet, and I make fun Capcom videos and live streams. If you thought I was funny, definitely check out those live streams. It's every Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. PST. Now, if you'll excuse me, my last video did really well and I got a lot of subscribers, so a lot of people want to shout out, huge motherfucking ups to Eduardo Enrique Lopez Rodriguez, oh god, Alamadi01, Dodger, Always Med, Egon Tokasi, Patrick Stissen, Orestus X, Fast Hands, Orestus X, that's kind of like Static X, Fast Hands, the Spine Lizard, Wink Emoji, Reisted, I don't know, man. Thank you though. Mr. Nitrous, Okami 707, Lion Kirith, Big Salami Mommy question mark. I love that fucking name. Huh? Question mark? And that's actually the top of it. If you guys subbed and you didn't get a shout out, it's because your YouTube settings are not set to public. Just let me know in the comments if you care. But thank you guys so much for subscribing. That video did a lot better than I was expecting. So holy shit, that's cool. That's really cool. Are you jealous of all those people who had their names on the screen? Well, those people are my followies. What's a followie? Well, it's like a groupie following the rock star, except we don't do the illegal drugs and sex and all that other stuff. We don't do the GG Allen here. But if you want to be my next followie, go ahead and help out Chun-Li and take out that subscribe button, man. Beat the motherfucking button. I'm getting back in the swing of making videos, so hopefully you guys will see more from me. But if you really, really want to see me, once again, check out the live streams. I'll be coming at you guys with some short Capcom lore and also some bigger videos as well, so stay tuned. Thank you guys so goddamn much, and you all have a wonderful day. See ya, perverts!